all, it's Thursday of week 8. I don't do a lot of design historicizing in this class, but I do want to take time today to situate a huge influence on art and design writ broadly, that is postmodernism. In this video, I want to share some definitions, share some examples, and more specifically, share examples that show the ways in which the last 100 years or so have really transformed design, bringing us right up to the present. What you see in the background here is a stylized version of layouts from Raygun magazine. David Carson, a cutting-edge designer, was the art director for the first 3 years of the magazine, and it ran from 1992 until 2000. Raygun deliberately experimented with what we expect from traditional magazines. They designed pages that were difficult to read with barely legible font faces and photographs that were oddly taken and oddly integrated. Raygun magazine was often described more as an experience, and it's also described as quintessentially postmodern. So let's talk about what postmodernism is, while recognizing that defining postmodernism is an anti-postmodern act. Postmodernism is a term that's used to describe a particular time period and work that emerged during that time period. It's generally seen as prefaced by modernism, postmodernism. Postmodernism deconstructs totalizing systems of knowledge and meaning and starts from an assumption that there is no such thing as capital T truth, but rather many truths, because truth is inherently subjective. I want to share this. This is a t-shirt. It's for sale on Amazon. This shirt has more than 4,200 reviews. Here's one. I bought this product as a gift for my beautiful wife. We have 3 sons and she loves the military green color. I thought this gift would be perfect with its 3 wild wolves representing the 3 small pups we have at home, while the rest represents me as her moon and stars. Upon arrival, I decided to reveal this wonderful gift to her early, as I couldn't contain the thoughtfulness that went into this Valentine's Day present. I thought for sure she'd be excited. When I pulled that shirt out of its plastic sleeve, there was a look of awestruck wonder that appeared on my wife's face. With the fury of a she-wolf that had dwelt long in slumber deep down in her bones, she attacked me and stole the shirt from my grasp. Before I could open my eyes, she had adorned the shirt and had me pinned to the floor. She leaned in close and began sniffing my head and neck. I could feel her honing in on my jugular. Suddenly, in one swift motion, she took me straight from the floor and threw me over her shoulder. I felt like an innocent kettlebell being manhandled during an afternoon wad. The last thing I remembered is the weightlessness I felt as I soared through the air. I landed so hard on our bed I blacked out. I can't say what happened next. I woke up 2 days later. I'm not sure where she is now. Our pillows and cushions have been ripped to pieces in the living room. All the shoes in the house have been torn up, and it appears someone used the business end of a toilet brush as a chew toy. Our home is eerily quiet. The silence is periodically broken by moans I can only assume are coming from an injured cat in the distance. There are claw marks on the back door as it swings wide open, allowing the cold February air to fill our home. I'm scared to leave. I'm locked in the bathroom, and I'm writing this review for the safety and concern I have for other husbands. Here's another. Currently running the countryside with a pack of wolves after having put on this shirt. We'll review later. And another. My boyfriend, who's already very hot, bought it and wore it, and now he looks even hotter. I can't resist him. This shirt has powers. And that appears to either be Rainn Wilson, Dwight Schrute from The Office, wearing the shirt, or the shirt has been photoshopped on him. I would argue that this silly shirt with its more than 4,200 comments and the act of commenting itself is postmodern, digitally postmodern. There was no such thing as a comments feature 20 years ago. There was no crowdsourced space for people to disrupt what comments do and mean. To look backward to modernity, modernity refers to a particular time period and a set of styles associated with that time, generally the Enlightenment to the early 20th century. This time was marked by significant shifts in our everyday lives, and this era glorified and valorized capital S science, capital T technology, capital B progress as inherently good. In terms of identity, a modernist notion of self is best articulated by I think, therefore I am. It's a very straightforward, simple notion of identity. Modernism generally situated all people, well, mainly white Western people, as autonomous individuals. I think, therefore I am. As for art, modernism set some fairly strict rules and characteristics about what good art is. I'm not judging here, but we have all learned certain rules about design and about culture and about life. We're taught to read some things as high culture and others as low culture, and this is a legacy of modernist thought. This is René Magritte's painting The Treachery of Images. The text reads, "This is not a pipe." Because it's not. It's a painting of a pipe. And the thing called a pipe is only a pipe because we all agree to call it a pipe. This is heralded as a quintessentially postmodern work of art. Laurel Harper describes the world when we began to turn from modernist thought and rules to postmodern approaches. And this wasn't an immediate shift. This was a slow, accumulating move. She describes a world in the early 1900s when we were between two world wars. Electricity was more and more a necessity rather than a luxury. More people than ever before could move around and be in contact with more of the world. Advertising and marketing exploded during this time, and how we thought of art started to shift. Postmodernism ruptured modernist notions of good and bad and capital T truth to suggest that everything is more complex than that. Identity is complex. All meaning is subjective and contextual. And importantly, postmodernism suggests understandings of identity that pushed beyond "I think, therefore I am" to "what I am is different in different contexts. And my identity is a complex, multifaceted thing through which I experience subjective little t truths." As for design specifically, and as we saw earlier when we talked about critical visual analysis, the real and the simulated or created blur. Just as there is no capital T truth, the perception and meaning interpreted from art or design is plural and local and subjective. Appropriation, remix, and pastiche are key creation conventions, and there's what I'd call a postmodern sensibility, especially when we're talking about advertising. So let's focus even more specifically on the impact of postmodern thought on design. Stephen Heller focuses on handcrafted punk flyers from the 1970s as emblematic of postmodern sensibility. Rough, naive, rejected the modernist rational rules about good typography and good design. Other characteristics of postmodern design include the vernacular becoming commonplace and accepted and integrated in art and design. Think the pivotal moment of Andy Warhol's Campbell soup can paintings. High and low culture blurs together. Design work is often described as vandalism, garbage, and experimental, radical, subversive, and ugly. Others describe postmodern design work as dauntlessly exploratory, engaged in seditious innovation, that is, acting directly against what came before it, often to challenge or question. So, for instance, we see remixes of the Mona Lisa, including one with Salvador Dali's face, and also Marcel Duchamp's, which has an inscription that reads, depending on your translation, "She has a hot ass." Cultural appropriation is seen as a key aspect of postmodern work, of playfully and or critically taking something and making something new with it. Early in class, we read work by Sturkin and Cartwright, who described cultural appropriation as borrowing, taking, pilfering a cultural product or artifact, and re-scripting it to change its meaning. And in the art world, Barbara Kruger's work is emblematic of cultural appropriation. She creates work that juxtaposes texts and photos to surface questions about identity, power, and social relationships. This is perhaps one of her most famous works. And another, "Money Can Buy You Love," juxtaposed with a little girl sticking her tongue out. "I shop, therefore I am." An extension of that, "You can't drag your money into the grave with you." One of my favorite acts of cultural appropriation were two guys who recreated famous photos using office supplies that were laying around. In appropriating pieces seen as pinnacle examples of high art, they force us to rethink what art is. A lot of cultural appropriation is of people re-scripting corporate logos, redesigning them to make an argument about the brand or its products or its role in our society and our culture, or appropriating to send a larger message about maybe what we really value in our culture. If you haven't yet experienced them, the If Real People commercials with real life series featuring Mock are absolutely hilarious, and also PG-13.
Welcome. There you go.
God, I wish you would have busted your ass right there.
Nice to meet you. Have a seat.
So I can already tell I'm gonna hate this.
Hi guys, thanks for coming. Since you guys are millennials,
I'm gonna stop you right there, Potch. I am not a millennial. I mean, no offense. I love the Pepe Le Pew look. Yeah, you see what I mean, Potch? They don't even know who Pepe Le Pew is. Yeah, he's a cartoon rapist, darling.
we want to get your honest reactions to a possible TV ad we might use to introduce the all-new 2016 Chevy Cruze. It's designed specifically for you guys.
So what does that mean? It gets easily offended and complains about everything?
First of all, the commercial will be about a bunch of free-spirited millennials who all have beards and tattoos.
A little too cliche.
Not everybody has tattoos, not everybody's pierced, not everybody has a beard.
Have you looked in the mirror lately? Because you have all three of those things. Nice tic-tac-toe tattoo there, by the way. Guess I'll take X's since he has got O's.
They see an open field, you gotta dance.
A little weird.
That's not what you do? So you wouldn't say this image is on fleek?
No, I would say I hate you for using that word.
Noted. Okay. At an impromptu beach party. No. No?
No.
No.
No?
Don't act like you guys don't go to the drum circle every week.
How are you not doing this every day, all day long?
I work like 6 days a week.
I mean, someone's got to make that latte, right?
We all gotta go to work at some point.
Oh, I always wonder what happened to Jamiroquai. It's good to know you're still finding work. You like a DJ now or something?
Is this what everyone thinks of our generation?
Yes.
I find that insulting.
It's making us all look the same, and we're all unique individuals.
Oh my God, look at these two. Fresh off the mountain with the broken back, I see. Hey, look everybody, it's Wyatt Derp and Cock Holiday.
I also like jumping in lakes.
Why?
This is a typical day in the life of a millennial.
But so again, I'm not a millennial, I'm a Generation Y. Like, why am I here right now? Oh my God, I just looked it up. I am a millennial. I hate myself now. Oh my God. What happened to Generation Y?
Commercial ends with an epic millennial breakdance party in a gritty inner city alley. This is not a thing?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Why not?
It's offensive. It's a little contrived to me.
You know what? I like it.
Not every single person has to have a beard.
No?
No.
I have to take off my tattoos now.
Yeah, especially the one on your neck that looks like a limp penis.
The car should be the star. It's not about the people and then the car.
What's the price? What are the options? What are the features?
So what you're saying is you don't want us to build an ad that appeals to you. You want us to build a car that appeals to you.
No, what we like is for you to build a car that's not a complete piece of trash.
Wanna check it out?
Big giant doors. Let me guess, there's a shitty car behind it? Yep.
It's the all-new 2016 Chevy Cruze.
Oh, I like it.
No, you
The
don't.
Cruze lets you easily connect your iPhone and access your music, select apps, maps, and more with Apple CarPlay compatibility.
So if you have an Android, you're just screwed?
It also has available built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi.
What doesn't this car have?
What doesn't this car have? I'll tell you what this car doesn't have. Reliability, lasting quality, style, speed, safety, comfort, a good price, a good marketing team, consumers, any redeeming features at all, really.
I get it, okay.
Another example of cultural appropriation that I want to share is related to a Levi's Go Forth ad from a few years back. Here's the original ad.
America, center of equal daughters, equal sons, all alike and good, grown, ungrown, young or old, strong, ample, fair, enduring, capable, rich, perennial with the earth, with freedom, law, and love.
And in this class, for an honors option project, a student created a culture jamming appropriation of it, replacing the Walt Whitman voiceover with Thule Kupferberg spoken word work.
State of the Union, ICC. State of the Union, keep your greed. State of the Union, I don't need you. State of the Union, I never joined. What I put asunder, let no God join. This union was spawned by merchants' loins. Why pay killers taxes? Beat the draft. Learn to dodge the bureau shaft. Beat them at their own stupid craft. Hey, State of the Union, it's a lie. That's just the way they cop the pie. You lay low and they live high. You work that way until you die. They wrap themselves around the flag, kick commie and flog a fag. Watch them do that patriot rag. State of the Union, it's a sitcom gag. State of the Union, uniforms and can. Mumbo jumbo, politician rant. Hey, I'd rather hear an honest jungle chant. State of the Union, laws and guns. That's the way your system runs.
Advertising has definitely been impacted by cultural, historical, and design changes wrought by postmodern thinking, and I want to offer some juxtapositions here. Here's an ad for Imperial whiskey. Man, this is whiskey. Here's an ad for Sky Vodka. We have a man with an obvious erection standing over a woman laying prone on the ground looking up at him. The bottle in his hand tells us what the ad is for, but not just what the ad is for. An ad for champagne, always a pleasure. An ad for vodka coolers from a few years ago. We could have made blueberry, but we didn't. We made cranberry, get over it. If this bottle fell on Newton's head today, he'd probably just scrap the whole gravity thing and sue. And tons of raspberries were harmed in the making of this product. An old coffee ad. If your husband ever finds out you're not store testing for fresher coffee. And a more recent coffee ad. A vintage Louis Vuitton ad, traveling requisites. A more recent ad, home is just a feeling. A vintage Coca-Cola ad, a red-cheeked young lady in a gingham dress holding up a six-pack of Coke. A more recent Coke ad, chilled. A vintage Coke ad playing on the modernist art still life painting. It's the real thing. Live on the Coca-Cola side of life. I want to talk briefly about technological changes and return to an argument I made the first week of class about how technology is changing our standards, our approaches, and our sharing practices. And more importantly, we now have the tools to produce, create, and design, and the tools to break, appropriate, and disrupt. So I want to close with an episode of Zay Frank's The Show, in which he drops a few truth bombs about art, design, technology, our postmodern moment, and consumer-created media.
Good morning, sports racers. It's the 14th of July. Today we vote for the I Knows Me Some Ugly MySpace contest. Why? Because it's important.
I knows me some ugly. And you is ugly.
How ugly?
You so ugly, ugly sticks get ugly when they hit by you. You so ugly when you were a baby mama tried to put a spoon of mushy peas in your ass. I knows me some ugly. And you is ugly.
So ugly.
I knows me some ugly. So ugly. And you is ugly.
You get 10 votes today, and on Monday, we'll vote for the winner. Do you know you's some ugly? This is something from the comments. Varian writes, having an ugly MySpace contest is like having a contest to see who can eat the most cheeseburgers in 24 hours. You're mocking people who, for the most part, have no taste or artistic training. Varian, thanks for telling me what I was doing. I didn't even know I was mocking people. For a very long time, taste and artistic training have been things that only a small number of people have been able to develop. Only a few people could afford to participate in the production of many types of media. Raw materials like pigments were expensive, same with tools like printing presses. Even as late as 1963, it cost Charles Pignot over $600,000 to create and cut a single font family. The small number of people who had access to these tools and resources created rules about what was good taste or bad taste. These designers started giving each other awards, and the rules they followed became even more specific. All sorts of stuff about grids and sizes and color combinations, lots of stuff that the consumers of this media never consciously noticed. Over the last 20 years, however, the cost of tools related to the authorship of media has plummeted. For very little money, anyone can create and distribute things like newsletters, or videos, or badass tunes about ugly. Suddenly consumers are learning the language of these authorship tools. The fact that tons of people know names of fonts like Helvetica is weird, and when people start learning something new, they perceive the world around them differently. If you start learning how to play the guitar, suddenly the guitar stands out in all the music you listen to. For example, throughout most of the history of movies, the audience didn't really understand what a craft editing was. Now, as more and more people have access to things like iMovie, they begin to understand the manipulative power of editing. Watching reality TV almost becomes like a game as you try to second guess how the editor is trying to manipulate you. As people start learning and experimenting with these languages of authorship, they don't necessarily follow the rules of good taste. This scares the shit out of designers. In MySpace, millions of people have opted out of pre-made templates that work in exchange for ugly. Ugly, when compared to pre-existing notions of taste, is a bummer. But ugly as a representation of mass experimentation and learning is pretty damn cool. Regardless of what you might think, the actions you take to make your MySpace page ugly are pretty sophisticated. Over time, as consumer-created media engulfs the other kind, it's possible that completely new norms develop around the notions of talent and artistic ability. Happy ugly, this is Zay Frank thinking so you don't have to.
I hope you found this interesting. All cultural artifacts have a history. All design elements carry historical and technical and cultural conventions, or work to break historical conventions, as we've seen here with these postmodern trends and influences.